Okay, yes guys, so welcome to today's video. I want to go over all my the most important learning lessons that I've got from trading prop firms after around 50 payouts. I'm not sure the exact number, but it is around that 50 mark, and after this month it will definitely be over 50. So these are the most important lessons that I've learned along the way that have helped me get more and more payouts, right? And stay consistent at it as well. Because I've only been getting payouts since around March 2025, so a little over a year. And the things I've learned in that time have helped me get more and more payouts along the way. So let's get into it. The first thing you need to understand is risk management when it comes to prop firms. You should be viewing your risk as the amount of trades of drawdown you have left, right? It might sound simple, but what a lot of people say and what I hear all the time is people say, okay, I'll risk 1%. But they'll say, let's say it's a 50k account, they'll say, oh, I'm risking 1% per trade, $500 risk, but that's not 1% risk. You've only got $2,000 of drawdown, right? So you're actually risking 25% of the account, okay? So I think it's much better to look at it as I've got 4 trades of drawdown, right, until I blow the account, or I've got 4R of room to work with, okay? So that'll mean if I lose 4 trades in a row, the account is gone, okay? So this is just going to, it's not going to, because when you say, oh, I'll risk 1%, it gives you the illusion that you have a lot more breathing room than you actually do. Because it's not actually 1%, it's a quarter of your drawdown. Okay, so when you say 1%, it might lead you to taking bad setups because you're like, oh, it's only 1%, but it's not 1%. Okay, so this is a very small thing, but something you need to fix your mindset, right? This is how you should be viewing prop firm accounts, right? These aren't live accounts. If it's a live account, of course, risking 1% because it actually is 1% of your account, right? When you trade a 50k funded with 2k drawdown, you're trading a 2k account. You're not trading a 50k account, okay? Now, next thing is when it comes to evals, right? You want to increase your risk on evals, but you want to be smart about it, not reckless, okay? So the goal is to clear the evals efficiently, right? You should be sizing up within your system, which is going to mean you need less risk to reward per trade to pass, right? It makes it a lot more realistic for an average trader to pass using higher risk, okay? Will you blow more accounts, or will you be open to blowing more accounts? Yes, you will. But this is an ROI game. Sizing up means that you need to make less risk to reward, which is much more achievable for the average trader. So if we're talking about futures, you have, say for a 50k account, you have a 3k profit target with 2k trailing drawdown. If you risk half your drawdown per trade, which is what I do, because I have a high win rate system and I can afford that, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely I'm going to go on a 2 trade losing streak. It happens, don't get me wrong, but I'm okay with blowing accounts. But making free risk to reward is very achievable, right? Whereas if I went down to $250 risk, that's, how much is that? That's 12 risk to reward I would have to make to reach the profit target. Don't get me wrong, your fail rate is going to be a lot lower, but it's going to take you way longer to pass, okay? Unless you use a high risk to reward system, it's going to take you a long time to pass. And the thing with evals is you want to get through them relatively quickly. You don't want to spend longer than 2 weeks on an eval. In my opinion, that's just too long, okay? You want to get to the funded stage. You don't want to rush it, right? You don't want to rush it. You don't want to be reckless about it. You want to get there quickly and efficiently, Okay, it's not about getting there tomorrow, it's about getting there by the end of the week or early next week, rather than just, especially if you're a break-even trader, using lower risk, you're never going to pass. You're going to be just on the same thing for so long. You're going to be on the same eval forever. Okay, you need to size up based on your system. Okay, that's very important. For me, I have around a 60% win rate with about a 1.1 risk to reward, average risk to reward, right? So this means I can risk a lot, and during good periods I have an 80% win rate. So this allows me to risk more because the chance of me going on a losing streak is much lower. Okay, but if you were using something like a average of a free risk to reward, you're probably going to have closer to a 30 to 35% win rate, leaving you open to losing streaks. This might mean you need to reduce the risk to 500 or 400. Okay, so it's based on your system. So this is the trade-off. With higher risk, you need fewer wins. You need to make less risk to reward, but is a more achievable target. Okay, so hope this makes sense and hope it can help you when it comes to passing evals, because a lot of the way I started passing evals efficiently and quickly was once I upped the risk. Once I upped the risk, I actually started passing these accounts. Now, the most important thing is you need to secure your return on investment. Once you get funded, you should never be chasing a max payout. I think this is the dumbest thing that social media really it really gets you thinking that you need to reach a max payout, whereas a $1,000 payout is already a 10x return basically on a 50k. So your first job as a prop firm trader is to get your investment back, right? It's going to pay for the eval or any activation fees that you paid, right? So then once you've got your return on investment, once you bank that first payout, you then just need to start return on investment maxing. So once you've secured that initial return on investment, you just need to start ROI maxing, which just means getting as many payouts as you can for the lifetime of that account. Okay, because it probably will eventually get blown, but you want to get as much out of that account as you can. And that doesn't necessarily mean going for a max payout, okay? This could mean just continuing to stack small payouts. This is what I like to do. Because as soon as I'm eligible for a payout, if I'm within that 1800 balance or above, I'm going to take a payout. I'm going to take the payout because money means nothing until it's actually in your bank. Small payouts are what actually made me net positive multiple 5 figures with prop firms and will make me 6 figures and so on, right? So your most important thing should be phase 1, secure your return on investment. Take a small safe payout until you've made your return on investment. This will be after your first payout. And then after that, after you take your first payout, you're just playing with the house money. Everything from here is just profit on top, right? You don't have to necessarily push for bigger payouts, but you have no pressure on you because you've already secured your investment. You've already paid for multiple more evals after this. And the last lesson I have for you guys is to make more money, all you need is more accounts, right? You don't need to go and have insane performances to make more money. All you need to do is to scale. So don't grind to perform better or squeeze out more risk to reward every single month. Of course, as a trader, we're going to try and have the best performance we can, but if you're consistently doing a certain amount on a consistent basis, you don't actually need to do any more. If you're doing enough to reach a payout, all you need to do is do that across 10 accounts, and then you're going to make 10x the money and much more return on your investment, right? If you're trying to go for more risk to reward than you usually do, it's just making it harder for you. It's much easier to be consistent across more capital, okay? So just simply add more accounts, do more evals, right? I've done a video on how to scale. All you need to do is just get more accounts, invest in a trade copier, use trade copier, it's a good one, or any sort of trade copier that's worked, but I would recommend trade copier. and just let it run in the background. And before you know it, you'll stack up more and more accounts. So the hard way to make more money is to chase high risk to reward. You're going to have constant pressure to beat the previous month. If you only have one account or only a couple accounts, you have a ceiling. And then let's not speak about the psychological factors that are going to come with trying to have a better performance and putting all that pressure on yourself, right? You're probably going to burn out. You're probably going to overtrade because you have unrealistic standards for your performance. Whereas the smart way, the way that you should do it, is just continue repeating the same edge, right? Keep the same consistent system. You don't need to go for more risk to reward. Add capital by adding more funded accounts onto a trade copier. Then your income will scale with the more accounts you have. Lower stress, I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be lower stress because you need to get used to trading more accounts, but it's the same process, right? This is something that I'm doing at the moment. I've got 10 accounts at the moment, going to try and reach a payout across all of them. But yeah, you don't need to have a better performance. All you need to do is stay consistent with more accounts, okay? It's going to be a lot less stressful and much more achievable for the average trader. I think a lot of what it comes down to with prop firms and becoming successful with them is you need to give yourself an approach that makes it achievable for the average trader. Because look, if you're anything like me, you're nothing special, right? Me and you, we're nothing special. We're not like some crazy outlier who's an insane trader, right? I'm not a crazy trader. I'm just a disciplined trader who executes his edge every day. I don't catch 15 risk to reward on the daily, you know? So if you're anything like me, you want to make your approach to prop firms as achievable as possible, okay? Give yourself the best probabilities of reaching payouts and doing it consistently, okay? So quick plug, if you are interested in learning from me, I do have a school mentorship. It's going to be the link in my bio. Go over everything to do with a full course, going over my entire system, tens of trade breakdowns, breaking down how I use my concepts in my trading, as well as, you know, many modules on data collection, psychology, everything that comes into my trading. Also has comes with the premium data collection Notion template, which I use to track all my trades, as well as one-on-one mentoring from me, and yeah, just full-on support from me, and we've got a good community going at the moment. So if you are interested in that, go to the link in the description and check it out, or shoot me a message if you have any questions. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys learned something from this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.